for 3 years. I lived in a car for 3 years. All of that I was going through, that I was tripping with, that I did not appreciate or understand, I understand it now because I'm on the other side of them troubles. And I understand what all them troubles was for. And even though I did not understand or appreciate the route he took me on, it was the route I had to go on. See, the route you on right now is the route you got to take. And it's very uniquely yours. This thing you going through, this just uniquely yours. You just got to understand you ain't the only one. You ain't the only one going through it. Now, in the order that it's going to happen, it's just yours. See, God made us very different. This God we got, God is amazing. He created you so individually. Do you know that it's close to 8 billion people on earth now? Do you know that it's almost 8 billion people on the earth? Do you know how many billions of people have died? Do you know that if you dig up all them people that have died and all the people that are presently here and every last one of them that he gonna make in the future, not one of you have the same fingerprint? Who do that? Who could possibly be so precise in his infinite wisdom that he created you so uniquely that ain't no two people got the same fingerprint? That's crazy, man. That's real crazy. 8 billion people, you can't duplicate it. The billions that done died, you can't duplicate it. And the ones that's coming will not duplicate it. God a bad boy, man. He's a bad boy. He's a bad dude, man.
The first thing I believe you got to do to turn yourself around is really take control of your mind. Or specifically, you got to feed and strengthen the mind. The mind is an interesting place, isn't it? I mean, fear can take us over. Uncertainty kind of unleashes all these thoughts that make us start to believe very often that things will always be bad, that we'll never be able to turn it around, or that we don't have the capability. It's just the nature of those inner voices that everybody feels at times. Now, maybe you're not feeling it right now, but I'm sure there are times that you have. So to take control of your focus, what do? Well, I realized that somehow to take control of my mind, I had to feed it. That if I didn't feed my mind, I'd be living on the weeds that came around me. One of my first teachers, Jim Rohn, taught me something years ago. He said, Tony, every day you got to stand guard at the door of your mind. My fastest way of combating that when I was first brand new, just trying to figure out what to do with my life, was to read. And I was poor. I was literally sleeping in my car. So I'm ancient enough to remember when there wasn't an internet and when I would go to the library. And I would go to that library and my whole goal was feed the mind. Feed the mind for at least an hour minimum a day, and sometimes more than that, where I would read somebody's biography. I'd read the story of somebody who went through some unbelievably difficult time and how they turned it around. And it gave me perspective. Or I'd read a book like As a Man Thinketh. If you haven't read it, it's worth reading again and again. You can read the book in about 20 minutes. Or I'd read Man's Search for Meaning. So reading, listening, feeding your mind is the first step to get out of that place of uncertainty and start to re-tap into your real ability to thrive in any environment. What's the second key? Well, number 2 is you got to feed and strengthen your body. As simple as that sounds, if you've been around any of my work at all, you know I believe physiology first. Sometimes even try to feed your mind. You can feed it, but those thoughts keep coming back. What's going to change that mind faster than anything else is a radical change in your body, a radical shift in your physiology. How do you do it? Well, think about this. When times are really uncertain, fear creeps in. What is fear? Fear is something quite physical. It takes a hold of you when it's really there and intense. We've all had that gut level fear, that dark night of the soul at times where it feels like, nothing's going to work. So how do you turn it around? Yeah, you feed your mind, but you also strengthen that body. When's the last time you really pushed yourself? You went on a run, a slight jog or a walk, but at the end, you pushed yourself for that last 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was, till you felt like your heart was pumping up, like you're going to spit out blood, where there was an intensity in you. What's the third key? Well, that third step is you got to get a role model that inspires you and really shows you the way. One of the biggest things that'll change you once you're mentally and physically strong is you need to believe. You need not just have a sense of certainty, but you got to believe that there is a pathway to get to where you want to be. Whatever it is you want to change, whether it be your body, your mind, your emotions, your finances, your relationship, you need a role model. And the fourth key now is you've got to get a proven plan and you got to take massive action. Don't even worry about a proven plan. There are lots of role models. Hopefully they'll prove it to you, but get a plan. Do something. I tell people all the time, you got to remember the power of massive action. So often in life, people don't begin the journey because they're not quite sure what to do or how to do it right or how to do it perfect. You want to change your body? Get yourself moving. Don't wait for the perfect trainer. Just go out there and move. Put on your shoes and move and get momentum. Just remember, progress equals happiness. If you can start to make progress, if you can get yourself going, even if it's not perfect, if it doesn't work, you know what to do. Just change your approach. If that doesn't work, change your approach. But if there's anything that'll shift your life, that'll get you to thrive in a difficult situation, is take some massive action. Try something else. Change it, try it, move it. Number 5, I think, is the most important of all. So just to remind you, first thing you got to do is feed and strengthen that mind. Read, listen, feed the mind. Take control of that focus. Stand guard at what other people are saying. Focus on what it is you're here to give, what you can control, what you can make happen. Number 2, feed and strengthen that body. Remember, fear, uncertainty, they're physical experiences. So the best way to deal with something physical is get physical. Change that body. Go lift some weights. Go for that run. Do something that's going to get you in that state. If you've been to our seminars, you know exactly what to do. But get that hour of power going, that 15 minutes to thrive, if you're familiar with that, to train your body and mind to be strong again. Number 3, make sure you put yourself in that position where you find a role model that's going to inspire you and show you that way. Maybe it's a contrasting role model. You think your life's so tough? Find somebody with tougher who's really turned it around. Or maybe it's just somebody who's really succeeded. That you can now see there is a way. There's a way through. There's a way to make this happen, even in the toughest times. There's always a way. 4, make sure you get yourself into action. Get a plan. Take massive action.
See, the disappointments come. Those are normal. That's part of life. But the question is, how do you handle it? How do you handle the coming winters and the disappointments and the downtimes? Well, you can't get rid of January by tearing it off the calendar. But here's what you can do. You can get stronger, you can get wiser, and you can get better. The winters won't change, but you can. And that's how life changes for you. See, before I understood when it was winter, I used to wish it was summer. I didn't understand. When it was hard, I used to wish it was easy. I didn't know. And then Mr. Schoaf gave me a part of his very unique philosophy when he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. See, that triggered my whole life change. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. That's the key. So that's lesson 1, learn how to handle the winters. Here's lesson 2. Learn how to take advantage of the spring. That's the second one. Spring is called opportunity. And spring follows winter. What a great place for it. If you were going to put it somewhere, that'd be the place to put it, right after winter. See, opportunity always comes. Days follow nights. Isn't that terrific? Opportunity follows difficulty. But here's what you must learn to do. Underline these 2 words in that key phrase. Take advantage. Underline those 2. You must learn to take advantage of the spring. See, just because spring rolls around is no sign you're going to look good come fall. You gotta do something with it. In fact, you have to get good at one of 2 things in life. Planting in the spring or begging in the fall. Or get somebody to do it for you. See, those are about the only alternatives. Now here's what else you must do. Take advantage of the springs quickly, because there's only a few. Just a handful of springs have been handed to each of us. They don't come forever. Life is fairly brief. So you got to read every book you can get your hands on what to do with your springs while they're here. And take advantage, they soon run out. Life is so short. So whatever you're going to do with your life, you got to get at it. Don't just let the springs pass. Learn how to reap in the fall without complaint. Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity.
Now, what do you do during the hard times, Les? Here's what you must do. Number one is, you must have faith. Judge not according to appearances. Don't judge your circumstances and the possibilities for your future based upon what you have now and because of what's going on now. No. That's not the real reality there. What you're going through, if you're going through some hard times, it has not come to stay, it has come to pass. Now, second thing is, repeat this after me, something you should affirm to yourself every day. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. So you got to have faith. You talk to yourself. You say that affirmation. The next step is, you must have patience and engage in consistent action. Patience and engage in consistent action. See, everything does not always happen, ladies and gentlemen, when we want it to happen. It doesn't happen quickly. So in that process, they have something in the Far East called the Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree, every day it has to be watered and fertilized. It's a very hard nut, and it takes 5 years of watering and fertilization every day, according to American Geographics, before it breaks through the ground. At any time, if the watering process and the nurturing and the fertilization process is stopped, the Chinese bamboo tree will die in the ground. Now, once it breaks through in that 5th year, then in 6 weeks it grows 90 feet tall. Now, the question is, does it grow 90 feet in 5 years or 6 weeks? The answer is obvious. It takes 5 years. That's how long it took to grow it, to build that foundation, to nurture it, to water it, to build the reputation, to build the credibility, to learn the market, to learn people, to learn yourself, to learn the system, to learn how to do it, to figure it out. That's why you must have patience and engage in consistent action. We live in a world, ladies and gentlemen, where people want instant gratification. They want it right now, but they're not willing to pay the price.
You know, it's one thing to trust God in the light. It's another thing to trust God in the dark. It's one thing to trust God when you think you got it figured out and you're getting what you want and you can understand what's going on. It's another thing entirely to not get what you asked for, to have no understanding at all of why or what is happening, and still be able to say, God, I trust you. That's the kind of faith we're after. And you know what? That's the kind of faith that the world needs to see.
We can all trust Him in the green pastures. That's easy. We can trust Him beside the still waters. I'm asking you to trust Him even in the dark valleys. He hasn't left you. You may feel alone, forgotten. Life hasn't turned out the way you wanted, but God is still leading you. The dark places are all a part of the plan to make you into who you were created to be. It may not be easy. You may not understand it, but faith is trusting God when life doesn't make sense. Dare to believe that He's blessing you even in the dark places. That what's meant for your harm, He's going to use to your advantage.
When you and I are walking through dark times, the first thing to remember is this: God is with us. Even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the dark times, He says, I will fear no evil, for what? Thou what? Art with me. It is the fact and the assurance that God is with us that makes all the difference. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. It is easier for us to believe in the presence of God, or sense the presence of God in life when things are going our way. It's sort of easy to believe, yes, I do believe God's with me. But what about when the light's taken away and everything looks dark and gloomy and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel out there anywhere? Then can I still believe that my God, who promised to be with me, who will never forsake me, am I willing to believe that He's with me now when I don't feel His presence, I don't see His presence, and somehow I can't conceive that He could allow me to go through this? Do I still believe He's with me? Yes. Yes, He is. God is with me no matter what. Friend, God is always ahead of us. He's got everything under control. He's working everything in His absolute perfect timing. He has a purpose for every single solitary thing.
It seems to you like God's forgotten all about you. Well, He hasn't. He hears you and He sees you. Can I tell you today that you're not invisible? God knows exactly where you're at, and He knows exactly what's going on in your life, and He knows exactly how much you can take and how much you can't take, and He may not be early, but He won't be late.
We're always walking toward the dawn of a new day. When you and I are walking through the darkness, we're always walking toward the dawn of a new day. Because, my friend, God loves us. He's always moving us toward the dawn. And no matter where you are and what you're going through today, there is light. Listen, there is a dawn. There is going to be a new day. God's going to bring you through it no matter what. It may be tough right now. You think, God, how am I going to be able to stand this? He's going to enable you. He will enable us, and sometimes it's a day at a time. And somebody may say, well, how do you stand this? One day at a time. We learn more in the darkness, but we're always moving toward the light. You see, that's why you and I don't ever have to give up. If God has said, here's what I'm going to do, you can rest your eternal life on the fact that God, in all of His sovereign power, everything in heaven is behind the promise of God. He will make it a living reality no matter what. He will do what He promised to do. And you know what? That means that no matter what's going on, how much darkness we walk through, there's always light. Always light. Out there, somewhere, God will bring us through all of that. Now, I don't know where you are in your walk with the Lord. I don't know what kind of darkness is covering you. Maybe financial darkness, relational darkness, family darkness, all kinds of darkness that we all have to deal with in life. I don't know what it is, but this much I know. If you're a child of God, He's with you in it. He has a purpose. He's only going to allow you in that darkness to accomplish His purpose. When it's accomplished, He'll bring you out of it. If you will listen carefully and act wisely, you'll learn things in the darkness you're not going to learn any other way. There is a light. There is a dawn. There is a new day. You can come out of it, and you will come out of it. And not only that, when you come out, you should come out praising Him, thanking Him, declaring to others the greatness of God, the dependability of God, the faithfulness of God, the love of God to provide for you so abundantly.
I can tell you, I've learned 10 times more about the grace of God in dark times than I ever did in times of prosperity. And here's what He's saying to you. He says, I am your God, not because you put on a happy face in the morning. I am your God, not because you say everything right, not because you do everything right. I'm your God because I'm a God of grace. You know how liberating that is? Not only are dark times the best places to learn about the grace of God, they're also the best places to become a person of greatness. It'll turn you into a person of endurance, of stability, of strength, of greatness.
All of us at some time will go through dark places. A loss, a sickness, a divorce, a child that broke your heart. It's easy to get discouraged, give up on your dreams, and just settle there. But God uses the dark places. They are all a part of His divine plan. Think of it like a seed. A seed cannot germinate in the light. As long as the seed stays up on a shelf, it will never become what it was created to be. You have to plant the seed in the soil, in the dark place, so that what's on the inside will come to life. In the same way, there are seeds in you. Dreams, goals, talent, potential that will only come to life in a dark place. And if you study the Scripture, every person that did something significant went through one of these dark places. In those dark places is where we really grow. That's where our character is developed. We learn to trust, to persevere. Our spiritual muscles are getting stronger. In the dark places, you pray more. You draw closer to God. You get quiet and listen to what He's saying. In those dark places, you reevaluate your priorities. You spend time with your family. You have a new appreciation for what God has given you.
You don't give up because your God is not going to give up on you. He's not going to give up on you no matter what. But here's the thing that makes it difficult. When you're going through one of those dark moments and you don't see any end in sight, and it looks like it's going to last the rest of your life. It looks like you're going to be penalized the rest of your life. It looks like you're never going to be able to reach those goals. Somehow it just seems to be so hopeless. It's never hopeless as long as you have God, because God loves you and He's going to work out His will in your life one way or the other if you'll just trust Him. God will do in your life things that you never dreamed if you'll just trust Him through those dark moments.
The most important journey I think all of us will go through is the journey is ourselves, to find our truth, to find who we are and what makes us happy. After you walk out this door, you will receive 100 doors shut, slam in your face. You will have 100 moments that will be filled with someone telling you no or telling you thank you for your applications, but we regret to inform you that we have chosen different candidates for these jobs. You will sit in 100 different interviews and you will not get the job. The reality of life is that we'll all hear more noise than we hear yes, and we will feel lot, and I mean a whole lot. But what I ask of you today is to not take no for an answer. Don't be afraid of no, be afraid of the possibilities of a yes that you have prematurely destroyed because you decided to quit before the clock strikes 12. I have always been told how average I can be, always been criticized about being